it's over. You stole yourself a bad job.
Monday was the day one edition of Raw, the first Monday Night Raw of 2024, and tonight was the New Year's Revolution episode of SmackDown. I can't wait for the Great Balls of Fire episode of NXT. I'm still waiting for that. Tonight, Roman Reigns was back on SmackDown, and the question was, would Roman Reigns have a response for The Rock, who made his head-of-the-table reference on Monday that got everybody talking? Because Roman was scheduled to be on the show tonight. Would he respond to The Rock? He did not, although Paul Heyman did. And what Paul Heyman had to say is that Roman Reigns is not interested in wrestling The Rock, which of course means nothing, because The Rock mentioning Roman Reigns, even indirectly, tells you that they are doing something with The Rock and Roman Reigns. But Paul Heyman basically said Rock is not going to cut in front of the line. He is not going to be like everybody else. He's going to just have to wait his turn if he wants to get a shot at Roman Reigns. We did not get any sort of forward movement on that. What we had in the main event tonight was a triple threat match with Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight. Now, the winner of this triple threat match was to have become the #1 contender for the WWE Championship of the Royal Rumble, to find out who would go on to lose to Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, because surely it would be very stupid, being this close to WrestleMania after 3 years, to even consider the possibility that Roman Reigns would be dropping the WWE Championship. Who really believes that? We had this triple threat match, which was going pretty good until the finish with the Bloodline getting involved. We end up with a no contest. And we end up with Nick Aldis coming out and telling Paul Heyman at the end of the Bloodline beating down all three men, congratulations, tell Roman Reigns when he's done beating up everybody in the ring that he just earned himself a fatal four-way at the Royal Rumble, which is one of the possibilities that we talked about 2 weeks ago. That they may just end up doing some kind of a finish where the Bloodline gets involved. In fact, that's exactly what I talked about, where the Bloodline gets involved, even though triple threat matches are no disqualification, and we end up with a fatal four-way with all four men. So that's exactly what we're getting, which, by the way, makes Roman Reigns look like an idiot that he would get involved in this match and not just let the match play out. You know, a lot of times you hear fans saying to other fans online, let it play out. Just let the story play out. Somebody should have told Roman Reigns, let it play out. He did not let it play out. Now he's got to wrestle three men for the title at the Royal Rumble. And I don't mind them doing a fatal four-way match because it's different. We don't usually see Roman Reigns in a multi-man match. The last time we saw Roman Reigns in a multi-man match, I guess would have been the tag team match, probably in Saudi Arabia, where he got pinned by Jey Uso. Before that, you'd have to go back to the War Games match the year before last, right? It usually doesn't work out that way. It's usually one-on-one, and it all plays out the same way. You got the Bloodline getting involved, you got Solo Sikoa getting involved, right? It's the same old shit every single time. I don't mind breaking up the monotony a little bit and having a fatal four-way. It'll make things a little bit more interesting. But it worries me. It worries me. Because surely they are not considering the possibility of having Roman Reigns, after 3 years plus, as the champion, going into the Royal Rumble and losing his championship without being pinned, which of course is the whole premise of a fatal four-way or a triple threat. The champion does not have to be pinned or made to submit in order to lose his or her title. Surely they are not seriously considering that possibility so that they can get the belt off of Roman to get him to WrestleMania and a match with The Rock. Because the fact is, Roman Reigns against The Rock, whether they do it at WrestleMania or they do it at SummerSlam or they do it some other time, does not need the championship. Rock and Roman Reigns, if they actually are going to wrestle, only need one title. The title of Tribal Chief. That's what that's about. That's what that story is built around. The head of the table, right? The Tribal Chief. It's not about the WWE title. And nobody believes that The Rock is going to come back and win the WWE title. So that doesn't need to be for the championship. But the idea that that could potentially be how they end this forever run that Roman Reigns is on would be completely ridiculous. It would be completely ridiculous, and having him lose the championship in that way would be a colossal waste of what should be a big moment for whoever it is, whether it's Cody or somebody else, whoever it is that goes on to beat Roman Reigns, whenever that may be, to take the title. What a colossal waste that would be. If you have Randy Orton go out there and pin LA Knight and he becomes the champion, you cannot end this infinity run that Roman is on right now without he himself being pinned. And that should happen in a one-on-one match. Not in a fatal four-way, not in a triple threat, not in a scramble match. One-on-one. And I sincerely hope that that is not something that they are thinking about seriously doing. Because one thing that it would accomplish is what I just said. If they want to do Rock and Roman, it would accomplish the problem of, well, how do you get the belt off Roman if the belt is not needed in that match? Well, we'll do a multi-man match, and that way we can beat Roman without actually beating him. It's a cop-out. It would be a cheap way to end the reign. You can't do that. Even if it would accomplish what they are trying to do, you can't do that. But if they do it that way, what would happen in that situation? If they decide to do it that way, then how does it go down? Does Randy Orton win the title? Does AJ Styles win the title? Does LA Knight win the title? Randy Orton would probably walk out with the WWE Championship. That would then clear the path for Rock and Roman at WrestleMania. You could have Randy Orton defending the title against Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. I mean, we all know that there's history there with Rock, or rather with Randy and Cody. I mean, Cody Rhodes wins the championship at WrestleMania. I figured the SummerSlam title match that you would be building to would be Randy Orton. That was part of my predictions. I thought, okay, you get to Cody and Roman down the road. Randy Orton could be a challenger for Cody Rhodes. Now the idea that maybe Randy Orton would win the belt and would be the defending champion at WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes, to be on the undercard, to clear the path for the real main event of Rock and Roman Reigns? Sure, you could do that. Could they do it? Yeah, I could see them doing it. But I think it would be the wrong way to go. The most sensible way to go is very simple. If you're actually going to get The Rock back in the ring for a match, and if Rock is committed to doing a match, I'll be the most surprised guy in the room, because it's been so long since we have seen The Rock in the ring doing an actual match. And he talked about doing it last year. He never really had a good reason why it didn't happen. Remember, he talked about meeting with Nick Khan and all of them, Vince McMahon, and we couldn't come up with a good idea, so we all decided to put our pencils down like they're in fucking class. We put our pencils down and we decided to table the idea for another day. I don't know exactly what it was that led to the match not happening last year. But when that didn't happen, I was convinced. I said, you know what? If this match did not happen in Hollywood last year, then this match is not going to happen. Now The Rock comes back at the peak of WWE business. WWE business is booming. They haven't been this hot in decades. A great time for The Rock to show up. And so The Rock comes back now. And if there is a chance that he will actually get in the ring against Roman Reigns, and they're clearly going to do something here, you have this pay-per-view coming up in Perth called Elimination Chamber. And I'm not going to get into a whole debate with everybody again. Everybody has their own opinions about this. I don't really give a shit. My opinion is my opinion. Your opinion is your opinion. You have this big show coming up in February. We know the people in Perth have emailed WWE, have asked them, would it be possible to get Dwayne Johnson? Could we get The Rock on our show? It seems pretty clear to me that The Rock is going to have some kind of a presence on that Elimination Chamber show, whether he's wrestling or he's just making an appearance. They want him on that show. If all of a sudden The Rock is back, why would he not be there? That's going to be a big show for them. They're going to have 50, 60,000 people in a big stadium in Perth. Easiest way to do this, you want to do Rock and Roman, you go ahead and do Rock and Roman at Elimination Chamber. Because WrestleMania is already, it's a sold show. WrestleMania is going to be huge no matter what. And better yet, you can get 2 Rock appearances on pay-per-views. Because you could do the match in Perth in February, and you could have the Bloodline, as they usually do, help Roman, his cousins, help him retain the championship, get to your destination at WrestleMania against, let's say, Cody Rhodes, and you could have The Rock make an appearance there too. You can double dip and get The Rock on both shows, because The Rock could come out and The Rock can make sure that what you did to this guy last year, you're not going to get away with it again. He fights off the Bloodline, we get the big happy ending, and everybody's happy. That's my issue with this whole thing. It seems to me, going back to WrestleMania 39, like you have a straight line from WrestleMania last year to WrestleMania this year. It's a very simple story. And I just hate the idea that that would be washed away because of this, when you have a straight line from point A to point B. And sometimes the simplest way is the way to go. Not to say that they shouldn't use The Rock. Absolutely use The Rock. I can understand why they want to use The Rock. If The Rock comes to you and says, hey, I want to wrestle, what are you going to say? No. That would be the easiest way to go about doing this. All of this can be avoided simply by doing things that way. But the allure of having The Rock wrestle in what would probably end up being his final match. I mean, let's be honest here. If The Rock wrestles Roman Reigns, that probably is going to end up being his retirement match. What else would bring The Rock out of retirement and back in the ring after a match with Roman Reigns? So the allure of putting him back in the ring for what might be his final match, and putting him in the ring against his cousin, and doing this whole battle for the tribal chief thing, and making that your WrestleMania main event, is a very appealing thing. You look at the reaction to The Rock coming back on Raw Monday night, all the publicity the WWE got. That's exactly what they want. That reaction is exactly what this company wants. The Rock came back one night, it made headlines everywhere. I had a friend of mine who works with somebody who used to be a wrestling fan and hasn't watched wrestling or paid attention to it in many years, who texted him on Tuesday and said, hey, I heard The Rock is back, right? That's the sort of thing that they're banking on, because they're not booking this for me. And they're not booking this for you. They're booking it for people like that. That's what they're booking it for. That's what people like Nick Khan are banking on, that they can bring in some of those people who hear, oh, The Rock is back. The Rock is going to get back in the ring. And all of a sudden, they're really interested in what's going on. And so it's a very appealing thing for WWE. Too good for them to pass up. And maybe they don't want to do it at Elimination Chamber. Maybe they don't want to do it in a different time zone where the match is going to air at, 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. I get it. I get it. I get all the concerns. I understand it. I just hate that, again, it interrupts what should be a very simple story that the fans were ready to buy into. And maybe this is all much ado about nothing. And maybe WWE plans to stay the course. And we get exactly the main event that they originally planned, and The Rock will be involved in some way, but he won't wrestle on that show. We'll see. There's several different ways they can go here. It does make things more interesting. It does make things more exciting, because you don't know if they're going to go this way, if they're going to go that way. Are they going to zig? They're going to zag. We don't know. It does make things more interesting. But again, it just bothers me if they just decide to abandon all of those plans just to do Rock and Roman. I mean, look, you had Rock on Raw Monday night who did a spine buster and a people's elbow and was gassed as fuck. So there have to be concerns about The Rock in a singles match. That doesn't mean you don't do it, but it's a concern. if you want to make that your WrestleMania main event. I say that as somebody who was in the building for both the John Cena matches, and the second one sucked. And that was 11 years ago. So there were those concerns as well. But if you're a Cody Rhodes fan, this will be the last thing I say on this. If you're a Cody Rhodes fan, all this talk about the story, even Paul Heyman on the show tonight brought this up again and talked about the story, right? Cody's story, finishing his story, which everybody is sick about hearing. But if you're a Cody Rhodes fan, the story is finished when he wins the WWE title. The WWE title is what was taken from his father. The WWE title, he told us this story the night after, or 2 nights after, because now they have 2 nights of WrestleMania. I don't remember which night he was on. I think he was on night 1. The Monday after WrestleMania in 2022 is when he told us the story. He put the picture up on the Titantron. That's the story. The story is not, I have to beat Roman Reigns. The story is, I have to win that title. I happen to think that Roman Reigns now has become part of this story because it was Roman Reigns and his family who screwed him over at WrestleMania last year. And so part of the story now is that he comes back a year later, the comeback kid, to try to get revenge on the people who wronged him, so that he can finally put a period on this story once and for all. But the fact is, it doesn't have to be Roman Reigns. It doesn't have to be. It could be somebody else. We'll see what direction they ultimately end up taking here. Look, for them, it's not a bad problem to have. If they had ideas and now they have to change their ideas, we got The Rock. Okay, well, hey, I can think of worse problems for this company to have. They're going to make a fuck ton of money at WrestleMania no matter what. But everything just feels like it's up in limbo right now until they figure out exactly what they want to do. But also on the show tonight, Io Sky defended her women's championship against Michin successfully. Kevin Owens is going to the Royal Rumble. He's going to be taking on Logan Paul for the United States Championship. And Karrion Kross, they're trying again with him. They pushed the reset button on Karrion Kross, even though he's basically playing the same character, the same persona. But now they have hooked him up with a faction. Paul Ellering and AOP. Razar and Akam, they are back. And they are now all together, one big happy family. We don't know what they're going to be calling themselves, but we saw them together for the first time tonight. I thought it was a good show. Felt like there was a lot going on. Again, we had Roman Reigns. How about this? Roman Reigns and Logan Paul came back to work. And they were on the same show. How often does that happen? I think this was the first time we've seen Logan Paul live in person since he won the title. And how many months ago was that? 62 days as the United States champion. We finally got him in the building tonight on Raw. Or on SmackDown. Maybe he'll be on Raw. But we had Roman Reigns and Logan Paul on the show together. We had what I thought was a very solid women's title match. We had the Kross and AOP pairing, which at least is a semi-interesting development there. We'll see how that works out for Karrion Kross. Tyler Bate made his main roster debut. He was the mystery partner for Butch. And even if the people in Vancouver didn't seem to give a shit, I did. And I think in time, as people become exposed to this man and what he can do in the ring, they'll become more interested in him as well. I was very happy to see him on the show tonight. I only hope that's his full-time call-up. We don't know. Carmelo Hayes made a couple of appearances on SmackDown. That was not his full-time call-up. Hopefully this is for Tyler Bate. Even Ashanti the Adonis, who was the lone surviving member of Hit Row since Top Dollar is no more, Ashanti the Adonis got some screen time on the show tonight. He sat down with Nick Aldis, and apparently they have some kind of direction for him. I like that. I like that Triple H is at least finding things for different people to do. Michin getting a title match, right? She's been meandering around now for months and months and months doing nothing. She had a title match tonight. She had a chance to show what she can do. Ashanti, they're going to try something with him. They're trying again with Kross. Is it going to work? I don't know. The odds are against it. Didn't work the first 2 times. For his sake, I hope it takes for the 3rd time. But I like that they're trying some different things here on the show. And then we had a very good triple threat match until the finish. And we got the fuck finish there at the end. But up until that point, I thought they were having a very good match. This is your WWE Smackdown review for Friday, January 5th, 2024. The New Year's Revolution episode of SmackDown. Like and subscribe. 400 likes is the goal for Be the Booker tonight. It's our little segment we do at the end of these streams. Super chats are open. You'll see them popping up on your screen. We got a bunch of new ones in the description down below. Roman Reigns gently down the stream. This being one of them. Row Roman Reigns gently down the stream. Row Roman Reigns gently down the stream. Hey, Justin, thank you. That is the new $22 updated Super Chat. I actually have the poster there now in the end that came from. That was an actual fan sign in the crowd. So let's talk about this show. SmackDown opened with a recap of The Rock's return from Raw on Monday night. In case you didn't know, The Rock came back. I know, shocking. I'm sure you didn't know that. But The Rock came back, and he teased that he might want to take a seat at the head of the table. So live in the arena, a car pulls up, an SUV. Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman emerge. Kayla Braxton rushed over to ask Roman what he thought about The Rock's comments on Monday. And Roman's reaction was exactly the same reaction that he had on social media. The only reaction during the week that Roman Reigns had was a laughing emoji. And this was basically a laughing emoji in human form. He laughed it off and he walked away. Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves, they are officially the two-man booth on SmackDown. That is one of the changes that they have made to the show. Michael Cole is now exclusively on Raw. So no more three-man booth on SmackDown, which they really don't need a three-man booth. So we have Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves. That is the team. The opening match was the finals of the United States Championship Tournament to crown a #1 contender for Logan Paul, who was there. He came out to do commentary for this first match, which was between Kevin Owens and Santos Escobar, who had Angel and Humberto with him in his corner. They were in Vancouver tonight, so the crowd was very hot for Kevin Owens, him being a Canuck and all. As soon as the match started, Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro came out of the crowd. From the LWO, they fought off Angel and Humberto to the back, and so Escobar had to go it alone. By the way, I have to mention this. This is a good time to mention this. If you did not see, and I'm sure many of you did not, if you did not see NXT on Tuesday night, you have to go. You don't even have to watch the full match. You can find clips of it on social media, but watch the match because the match wasn't bad either. There was a tag match. There was a trios match with Carlito, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro taking on Drew Gulak's crew, the No Quarter Catch crew. They were having a match, and I've been watching wrestling for a little over 35 years now. And in all of my years of watching pro wrestling, I have never seen a spot like this before. What Joaquin Wilde did on this show defies gravity. They did a spot where he was outside on the apron, he was standing on the middle rope, and he had Carlito on one side, and he had Cruz del Toro on the other. And the heels were on the floor. They had to be a good 20 feet away. So Wilde is standing on the middle rope, and as he goes to jump, Carlito and Del Toro, they yank the middle rope up to give him some more forward momentum. And Joaquin Wilde, he sailed like he was like Superman. He was flying through the air, and he cleared that full distance, and he wiped out all the heels. I mean, it was incredible. And he even said, you know, Shawn Michaels thought he was out of his mind when he first proposed that he was going to do this spot backstage earlier that day and didn't believe him. And they even had him rehearse it. Although apparently he did it much better on TV, but he had to rehearse it for them and prove that he can, because he's like, yeah, just tell them to go about 20 feet away. And they're like, what, are you out of your mind? They made him rehearse it because they didn't even believe him. I still don't, I watched it with my own two eyes and I still don't understand it. The hang time he got on that dive was just out of this world. They're going to replay that for years to come. It's the best thing he ever did in this company the whole time he's been here. So Owens hit a super kick, and that's to a distracted Escobar once he saw his men being chased to the back here. Owens hit a cannonball in the corner, then a frog splash for a near fall, and already, a minute into the match, it's time for a commercial. After the break, Escobar went after Owens' bad hand. He's got that kayfabe broken hand. Escobar hit a tope suicida to the floor. He went for Owens' arm. Owens kicked his way out. He rolled back inside where Escobar went to the top rope. Owens climbed up with him. Escobar, though, fought him off, jumped off the top, and Owens was able to catch him, planted him with a DDT. So the two went back up to the top. Escobar set up for a superplex. Owens countered into an avalanche fisherman's buster that took us into yet another commercial break. Owens hit a cannonball before heading back up top. He tried for a senton, and Escobar got the knees up. Escobar hit a top row Frankensteiner, and he went back to the top again, and he hit a splash. He covered Owens, only got a 2 count out of it. So they ended up on the top rope again. This is a recurring theme in this match. They were on the top rope, and they went back to the top rope. Then they went back to the top rope again. This was like the 5th time. Back to the top rope. Owens delivered a rolling senton from the ropes, like a Lambo plunge, like Mr. Anderson used to do. Only he did it from the middle rope. Covered him for a close near fall. Both men got to their feet, rather. Owens tried for a stunner. Escobar rolled him up for a 2. Owens then hit a pop-up powerbomb on his 2nd attempt, and he followed that with a stunner for the win. This delayed stunner cell by Escobar, this was comically awful. The sell job on this stunner was fucking terrible. Because what happened is he ate the stunner. I don't know what he was expecting, but he ate the stunner, and he stood there for about a second or two, and then he shot himself back and sold it. So it looked terrible, but Owens covered him, and he pinned him anyway to win the tournament. It was a good match. I mean, the crowd was into the near falls. It never rose to the level of great, as the finals of this tournament that's been playing out on TV for the last... Maybe I'm just spoiled by the Continental Classic that just wrapped up in AEW. All those great TV matches we got. This was good. It just never rose to the level of great. After the match was over, Logan Paul gets up, and he requests a microphone. He congratulated Owens on getting to face the greatest United States champion of all time. I did not know that Kevin Owens was going to be wrestling Lex Luger at the Royal Rumble. Apparently we're getting that match at the Royal Rumble. So you learn something new every day. Lex Luger, I believe, is the greatest United States champion of all time. If you include the full lineage of that title, I think it's fair to give that to Lex Luger, who I also think is going into the Hall of Fame this year. So he pointed out that Owens was out of breath, and he had not even broken a sweat. He said he's retained his title for 62 days. Of course, in those 62 days, he has defended his title exactly 0 times. He said, besides, let's be honest, you all thought a Canadian could have ever won the United States Championship? He goes, Kevin, you beating me for the U.S. title is like the Canucks winning a Stanley Cup. It's never going to happen. And that got him mega heat in the building. And he goes, and you all know why it's never going to happen. At that moment, he was also stepping into the ring as he was talking. He said, it's not going to happen because I am Logan. And then Kevin Owens lowered the boom, and with the cast on his broken right hand, he KO'd Logan Paul and knocked him down. Now, it became official after the break. Kathy Kelly was backstage, and she informed Logan Paul, who had an ice pack on his eye, that in fact, at the Royal Rumble, it is now official, he will defend the United States Championship against Kevin Owens, which we all knew that's where the title match was going to happen. Now it's been made official. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller interrupted. They were appalled that she was trying to interview this guy. They said, you need to get to the trainer's room. Cameron Grimes showed up. He was laughing and mocking Logan Paul over what just happened. So Austin Theory gave him a shove, and the two of them had to be broken up. It's the Judgment Day. You can't even get away from them on Friday nights. It's bad enough we have them on Mondays, and now here they are on Friday. Hey, El Masse, thank you for the $32 super chat. See, he's got something to say about The Rock. I'm going to read your messages, so don't worry, I got you covered. I got you covered on the super chats. We got to talk about this first, though. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits were out to the ring to talk about their goals for 2024. And Lashley welcomed everyone to New Year's Revolution. He said 2023 was probably the toughest year of his career. He said he didn't get the results that he wanted. And he said the highlight of the year for him was hooking up with the Street Profits. Not in that way. But that was the highlight of the year for him. And he said their New Year's resolution is very simple. He said they're going to fight for and take everything they deserve. And Montez Ford said that they will take full advantage of every opportunity when it comes to capturing gold. Angelo Dawkins said the Judgment Day needs to keep their head on a swivel because, of course, the Judgment Day currently have the undisputed tag team titles. Lashley said his goal is to get back to being the Almighty, and his first step in doing so was to declare himself for the 2024 Royal Rumble match. So now we're starting to get some announcements here. They had their preview special on Peacock last night. Shinsuke Nakamura and Becky Lynch were announced for their respective Rumble matches. Now we have Lashley added to the men's Rumble match. And right on cue, the lights dimmed, and we got a video up on the screen from Karrion Kross and Scarlett. And it ended with Scarlett saying the words, "Do you see the vision? You will." Then on stage, we see Kross, we see Scarlett, and soon they were joined by Paul Ellering. 70 years old and still out there doing the deal. Paul Ellering is back. And if Paul Ellering is there, you know who came with him. By the way, Paul Ellering was wearing a white glove on his left hand. I don't know if he was trying to be Michael Jackson, but my first thought, and this is the thoughts of a Lucha Underground fan. If you're not a Lucha Underground fan, then you have no idea what I'm talking about here. But Kross played a character for a brief period on Lucha Underground called the White Rabbit. And I believe when he was the White Rabbit, he had a white glove on one of his hands. So I don't know if that was sort of a little inside thing on their part, some kind of inside reference to the old character that Kross used to play. I could be reading a little too much into it, but for whatever reason, he had the white glove on the one hand. In the ring, as they're staring at them on the stage, from behind comes Akam and Razar, the authors of pain. Ambush Lashley and the Street Profits. They knock Lashley out of the ring. And in the ring, they're raining down hammer fists on Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins. Kross marches down to the ring and he attacks Lashley outside on the floor. Inside the ring, he gets in and he tells AOP to basically finish him off. And they did their old Super Collider finish. They picked up each of the Profits and they powerbombed them in the center of the ring. So their backs collided with each other and then they powerbombed each of them to the mat. And then Kross dropped Lashley with what I assume is going to be his new finish, which started with the pump handle, which honestly looks completely unnecessary. But he does a pump handle, gets him up on his shoulders in like a power slam position, and then does a spinning F5 off of his shoulders. And so Kross and AOP, they stood tall in the ring to end the segment. So we have a new faction because we don't have enough of those. We have another new faction now on TV. And here's the thing with Karrion Kross. When it looked like this was the direction they were going in with him, I said this a few weeks ago, what they have done with him and what he has done. Because you can't put everything on the company, right? It's give and take. Triple H would give him an opportunity to go out there, and he's also got to be able to go out there and deliver. And the fact is, him and WWE, what they have done with him on television has not worked. It has failed. This may be his last shot. Because again, he was originally in NXT. He was the NXT champion. He had success. He got called up to the main roster, and he got vinced. I will never forget the night that he debuted on television on Raw with that fucking mask, walking down to the ring, and that was it. That very first night, he was done. When I saw him with that silly mask and that silly gear. Not to mention, of course, the whole, him wrestling Jeff Hardy in his debut when he was the NXT champion and losing to Jeff Hardy in 90 seconds. So I don't blame him for that. He never had a shot. And then he got fired. Triple H is the one who brought him back. As soon as Vince initially went away the first time, one of the first things that Triple H did was he brought back Karrion Kross. And he had the feud with Drew McIntyre. And they had a good cage match. I think that was at one of the Saudi shows, but it just didn't work. And then he tried with him again. He was off television for a while. He reappeared and he was wrestling AJ, I think. It didn't work. The fans didn't care. It didn't get over. The matches weren't that good. This is now his third opportunity since coming back to the company. I don't know that there will be a fourth. So for his sake, I hope this works. And maybe it will. Him by himself wasn't going to work. Surrounding himself with other people, making him the leader of a faction, he might have a fighting chance. But he's got to go out there and deliver the goods. Looks like Triple H believes in him. He likes him. He's going to give him the chance. I still think a full character makeover would have done him a world of good. Instead, they're going back to the same dark well with him. I hope it works out. I hope it works. I really do. Because if it doesn't, I think AOP and Paul Ellering, they'll end up going off on their own. They'll be okay. Cross, I'm not so sure about. So we'll have to give it time and see how it works out. Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, I just want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock, you rock. And I just wanted you to know that. Hey, Fahad, man, thank you for the $120 Super Chat bomb.
Look, everybody, it's Samoa Bro.
Wow, indeed. Yowie, wowie. Hey, Fahad, thank you, man. $120 drop says, keep up the great content. Fahad, I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much. You never want to get vinced. I agree. The last thing you want to do is get vinced. Thankfully, Vince is not an issue anymore. Think about this. We're going into 2024 with a WWE with no Vince McMahon with any real measurable power and no Kevin Dunn. Vince is gone for all intents and purposes. Kevin Dunn is gone. It really, truly, for the first time now, feels like the dawning of a new era. It's nice, isn't it? It's a nice feeling. We had Io Sky against Michin for the WWE Women's Championship. Michin came out. She was flanked by her fellow OC members, Anderson and Gallows, who quickly went to the back. Io came out with the other members of Damage Control. They also went to the back, so we had a strict one-on-one match. Nobody out at ringside. Two started off fast with Michin trying a couple of roll-ups. Io, though, ultimately landed a standing double stomp to slow Michin down. And Io ended up on the outside. Michin hit a dive through the ropes, and the show went to commercial. Michin landed a cannonball in the corner for a 2 count, and then she worked a half crab until Io made it to the ropes for a break. Io came back with a bridging German suplex to her on the apron to take control. And Io followed that with a springboard shotgun drop kick, and then she tried her over the moonsault. Michin, though, got the knees up on the landing, and she followed that up with a dragon suplex for a near fall. Michin tried to lift up Io, but Io countered with double knees, and Io went back to the top. Michin, though, cut her off, and she also went to the top. Io tried to take her over with a Hurricane Rana. Michin held on. So now Io is hanging upside down in the corner, and I'm watching Michin, and I can tell, because she's trying to get Io in position, and I could see that she's trying to set her up for a Styles Clash. And I held my breath because, again, I just think back to the people who unfortunately have fucked their necks up by taking the move the wrong way. Thankfully, it's only happened maybe a couple of times over the years. I remember poor Yoshitatsu. Was it Yoshitatsu was one, and then who was it? Lionheart, right? Lionheart in the UK. But now you have someone who's not used to doing this move, and she's about to do it from the middle rope. And to her credit, Michin hit an avalanche Styles Clash from the middle rope and hit it clean. And the crowd popped huge for it. Io, her eyes were open, but she had this look on her face like she was just completely out to lunch, seeing stars. But she was close enough to the ropes. Michin covers her. And Io at the very last second gets her hand up and grabs a hold of the bottom rope and saves her title. So now Io rolls out to the floor. And with Io outside, Michin went for another dive. But Io moved out of the way and she ate the floor. Michin ate the floor, crashed and burned on the ground. And Io delivered a Meteora to her against the barricade. She did the same to her back in the ring. And then she went up top and finally hit the over the moonsault to retain her championship. A good showing by both ladies. Even better leaving the interference out of it by not having Damage Control get involved. That was nice. I thought Michin looked a little tentative on some of her stuff. There were some parts where it looked like she was moving in slow motion. But that Avalanche Styles clash was wild. And it got a great reaction from the crowd because they thought for a moment there that could be it. Right? Who's going to kick out of that? The only reason she didn't lose is because she was close enough to the ropes. Because it would have been ridiculous for her to just kick out. I mean, there might be some people who think it was ridiculous for her to even just grab the rope, right? And that she didn't win with it. But I thought that was a great spot. And honestly, it's nice to see a different woman for a change in a spot like this on SmackDown, getting a championship match, because so often we see the same small group of names. It usually revolves around, Charlotte, Bayley, Bianca, Asuka. You want to throw even Io. Io's been, and I'm glad that Io's been in the mix. But that same group of like 4 or 5 women, that when you have some other people in there, it's nice to mix it up a little bit. Michin, she's been there forever. She's been there for a while doing nothing. And so it's nice to have somebody else in that spot, even if it's just for 1 week, just to mix things up a little bit. But I think, I mentioned Charlotte Flair. It's going to be very interesting now as we go into the new year here. Charlotte Flair is done for the next 9 months. She just had surgery this week to repair all of her injuries. Her knee basically exploded. So she suffered about as bad of a knee injury as you could suffer. It's going to be a while before we see her back. That opens a huge hole now on the SmackDown side for someone else to come in and take that spot. Charlotte's spot is so big, it's like 2 spots. So it opens up another opportunity to slide somebody else in there. And we have all these reports about all these free agents, most of which are female free agents. Deonna Purrazzo just landed in AEW. We saw her on Dynamite this week, but there's talk that Naomi, right? Trinity, the reigning Knockouts champion, is on her way back very, very soon to WWE. In fact, I would not be surprised at all. I'm expecting that Trinity will drop her title at the TNA pay-per-view, Hard to Kill, next weekend. I think she's wrestling Jordynne Grace. By the end of the month, she's going to be back in WWE. Maybe even in time for the Royal Rumble. So it looks like they're going to get her back. All this talk about Julia, where she's going to land when her contract is up in a few months. And then there's Mercedes, of course, which is sort of like the crown. Honestly, her and Julia are sort of like the crown jewel picks here when it comes to female free agents. Where is she going to land? I still feel like she's going to end up back in WWE. I know there was talk that the discussions between her and WWE broke down and she was going to debut imminently in AEW. Maybe, but I still feel like she's going to end up back in WWE. And we also learned earlier today that Camille, the former NWA Women's World Champion, has been offered an NXT deal. No word on whether or not she has accepted that deal, but they have made the offer to her, WWE has, to bring her in initially to NXT. What is she going to do? Where is she going to land? Right? She would be a pretty good pickup for them as well. That would be a solid pickup for WWE. I don't know that she would necessarily be at the same level as the most elite of the female performers that WWE has. In fact, she wouldn't be. I would say she'd be a level or 2 below them. So NXT, her going there first would make sense. They got Jade still down there in developmental, working on honing her craft. Jade Cargill is down there. Tiffany Stratton, I think, is going to get a call up soon enough. So, again, a lot to, I think, be positive about and be hopeful for when it comes to the women's division in this company going forward. But we'll see where all these free agents end up landing. Now, after this, to the back we go. to the wise man, Paul Heyman. Kevin Patrick was piped in on the PA system so everybody could hear him, and he asked Paul Heyman if he had any reaction to The Rock's comments on Monday. And Heyman said The Rock name drops Roman Reigns because The Rock wants to sit at the head of the table. To sit at the head of the table, one must be invited to a dinner of relevancy. The Rock has not been invited, nor will he be. Because The Rock is just like everybody else. He is looking for a shortcut to the headlines. These days, there's only two ways in this world to go viral. One is to date Tyler Swift. I'm sure there is a Tyler Swift. One is to date Taylor Swift. And the other way is to call out Roman Reigns. He forgot the third way, which is to wake up early on Christmas morning and tweet Stephen P. New. Those are the three ways to go viral. He says Roman wins a match, out comes John Cena. Roman wins a match, out comes Brock Lesnar. Roman beats Cody Rhodes. Cody is still talking about finishing his damn story. CM Punk comes back to WWE. Boy, does Punk almost feel like an afterthought at this point, doesn't he? With this Rock stuff this week. I mean, Rock just overshadows everybody. Cody, Punk. I mean, my God. This Rock stuff is just sucking up all the oxygen in the room. I almost forgot that they got CM Punk back. So you mentioned CM Punk. CM Punk, he says, comes back to WWE after 10 years. He says, welcome back. CM Punk says he's the OG Paul Heyman guy, which he is, until I upgraded from best friend to advocate, and then from advocate to the wise man. Tonight, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, and LA Knight will all fight for the privilege of getting smashed by Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, the same way whoever ends up in the main event at WrestleMania will get smashed by Roman Reigns. Because there's not one man, and he emphasized one man, on the face of this planet that can beat Roman Reigns. He didn't say anything about three men, which is what Roman is now going to be up against at the Royal Rumble. Now, only one of those three can win if they were to beat him. But again, that line was in there for a reason. There's no one man who can beat Roman Reigns. Yes, but if Roman is in a fatal four-way all of a sudden, right, there might be a chance. And it's smart. It's smart for them to plant that line in there and get people thinking that, hey, maybe this time Roman's actually going to lose. But he shouldn't. Elsewhere, Io Sky was shown walking backstage, and Damage Control ran up to her to congratulate her on her big win over Michin. Bayley said that she sees greatness in all of them, and she said this was all part of her master plan for the entire group, including the Kabuki Warriors, going on soon to win the women's tag team titles. And her going on to win the Royal Rumble. Bianca Belair walked up to them and congratulated Io on her win. She said Bayley will not win the Royal Rumble because she is going to win the Royal Rumble because she is officially declaring herself for the Royal Rumble match. And I will let all of you know right now that I am officially declaring myself as well for the Royal Rumble, the men's, not the women's, Royal Rumble match. Is that how this works? Right? We could all just declare ourselves for the Rumble. I always loved how some people could just declare themselves, but yet they still sometimes would have matches on TV to qualify for the Royal Rumble. So it's like saying, all right, you guys are the mid-card crew here. You don't count. You have to qualify, okay? You're not like the top stars in this company. Rarely is there any consistency to it. Some people have to qualify, some people don't. So Bianca walked off. And Io said something in Japanese. Dakota is the resident translator in the group, and so she told Bayley that Io said, since you're the leader of Damage Control, you have to take care of our Bianca problem. You know, before she screws up all of our plans and the plans that you have for this group, you've got to take care of it. And they have since made it official that on SmackDown next week, it will be Bayley going one-on-one with Bianca Belair, which, how many times have we seen that match now? I've lost track of how many matches these two have had together. We had Pretty Deadly against Butch and a mystery partner who turned out to be Tyler Bate from NXT. Two men here in Butch and Bate that have a long history together as friends and as enemies and opponents. So this was Tyler Bate's main roster debut. If you don't know much about Tyler Bate is an incredible talent. He's very young, and he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he is an absolutely outstanding talent, and if you don't realize it now, you will soon enough. Give it time. You will realize it like everybody else. Unfortunately, the Vancouver crowd did not care because they didn't know who he was. Either that, or maybe it was that in a combination of they were hoping for or expecting a bigger name. I thought it was either going to be Sheamus or Tyler Bate, because we've heard rumors lately that he might be called up soon. So I thought there was a shot it could be him, but I thought this was going to be the return of Sheamus. Yeah, Ridge Holland is off doing stuff in NXT. He kind of broke away here from Butch. I think the Brawling Brutes are dead. That doesn't mean that Sheamus and Butch, though, are necessarily going to be kept apart, but it turned out to be Bate as the mystery man. Bate worked a headlock. He was executing some of his signature spots. Both members are pretty deadly. We're outside on the floor. Bate and Butch, they hit stereo dives. That took us into a commercial break. After the break, we had Elton Prince. He was working over Butch. Butch fought his way out. He suplexed Prince. Kit Wilson tagged in. And that's when Tyler Bate got the hot tag. He cleaned house. He hit a European uppercut from the second rope. And then a standing shooting star press, and then he got Wilson up, and he spun him around. I don't know how many revolutions it was, but he did the airplane spin, which is always good for a great pop. He got enough revolutions that it got the people up, which they weren't for most of this match. Anytime Tyler Bate was in the ring doing something, they were dead silent. This, though, they reacted to. And Butch tagged in. The two of them hit a double team move. Prince, though, broke up the pin. Butch went to the top rope. Wilson cut him off. Prince then pushed Butch off the ropes. And Butch tagged Bate back in, or I think Bate may have blind tagged himself in. But they hit a double Tyler Driver 97 on Kit Wilson and picked up the win. Seeing Butch and Bate reunited here, I thought was, if you know their history, it was very cool. The thing with Butch, and I've said this about him before, he works better as a heel. And I miss those early heel days when they first brought him in, and he was also in NXT UK. Those early days of Pete Dunne as a heel. I want to see him get a good heel run for himself on the main roster. Tyler Bate is somebody, we're going to get to a point where Pete Dunne should go heel. He'll get to work Tyler Bate, and those two will get to have matches together on the main roster. When they have matches together on the main roster, they will get over. I guarantee you those matches will get over. It's like Dragon Lee. When he got called out, Dragon Lee is an incredible talent. It doesn't always translate from NXT. Some guys get called up and the magic just isn't there. Dragon Lee got called up, and Dragon Lee has actually done phenomenally well so far. And every time he's out there, he's getting over. I hope the same for Tyler Bate. I hope that this was his full-time call-up. We don't know for sure. I took this to be a full-time call-up. Otherwise, why bother? And it's not as if he's deeply involved in anything at the moment in NXT. Hopefully this is a full-time call-up for him. And I look forward to the eventual one-on-one. It's nice to see them as partners and friends. And yeah, that's all well and good. But at some point, we're going to get a match or a program between them. That's what I'm looking forward to. Now, Nick Aldis was in the back, and he was with Ashanti the Adonis, the one lone member of Hit Row, at least on the men's side. I don't know what's going on with BFAB. They were teasing for a few weeks there something with her and Bobby Lashley, where she was always sidling up to him in the back. He'd be standing there watching the Street Profits wrestling on a monitor, and here comes BFAB, and then they would go walk off together for a quickie or wherever the fuck they were going. And looks like they've dropped that. We haven't seen BFAB in weeks, so I don't know what's going on with her. But we have not seen Ashanti the Adonis in a while. The last time we saw him was many, many weeks ago, and he was being beaten up in the back by the Bloodline. So he was in Nick Aldis's office, and he said, look, I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me, but I feel lost. He goes, I've been ready, and all I need is an opportunity. And Aldis said, I don't feel sorry for you. because I believe in you. And he said, I got some ideas for you. And they cut the segment off there, so they left you wondering what those ideas were. I don't know what the ideas are, but look, you have people on the roster. It never made any sense to me that if you have people on the roster, you wouldn't at least try to come up with something for them to do. You know, he's been a bench warmer in the back. You're paying him. He's coming to work. He's sitting in the back. Come up with something for this guy to do. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but at least come up with something. And that's something that Triple H seems keen to do. I think that's a plus. What it's going to be, it'll probably be some lower level mid-card thing that they'll have him doing, but at least he'll have him doing something. Make use of the talent that you have. Not everybody has to be a main eventer, but they should at least be working and doing something. Our main event was the triple threat match to crown a number one contender for Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble to find out who will lose to Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. It was AJ Styles, it was LA Knight, and it was Randy Orton. Each man got a televised entrance, and then we went to commercial. And when they came back, the match was joined already in progress. Styles was working over Orton until Knight attacked AJ and he clotheslined him out over the top rope. Orton then clotheslined Knight over the top, and soon everybody was out at ringside in front of the announce desk. Knight slammed AJ headfirst off the table repeatedly over and over again, but then Orton dropped Knight on the table, and then he did the same to AJ Styles. The table didn't break, but he did drop each of them on the table. Actually, he picked up Knight and did it again. And he went to go do it again to AJ, but this time AJ landed on his feet, and he did the same to Randy Orton and dropped him on the table. So Styles ran Knight into the ring steps. Orton was in the ring. Styles went for the phenomenal forearm, but Orton cut him off, and he slipped, and AJ ended up draped over the top rope. Orton went for the draping DDT, and he hit it. Orton then set up for an RKO. But here comes LA Knight. He pulls Orton outside the ring. He ran him into the ring steps. Styles hit a running drop kick to Knight through the ropes. I think it was through the bottom and the middle ropes. And all three men were down going into the final commercial break. The show returned and AJ was in control. Orton climbed back into the ring. Styles, though, kicked the hell out of him. And on the outside, AJ ran Orton into the barricade. Styles slammed Orton's head into the ring steps. Back inside, LA Knight fought back. Orton came back in as well. And so Knight went after him. Knight fired up. Orton stopped his momentum, though, with a snap power slam, and then ditto for AJ when he came in. Orton went for an RKO. Knight countered and hit the BFT. And as Charles Robinson's hand was about to come down for the 3 count, AJ reached over and stopped him and grabbed his hand to prevent the 3. Knight and Styles then traded blows. AJ hit the Pele kick to take him down. Styles went to the apron. He was setting up for the springboard 450 splash, and he nailed all of it. But he didn't get the win. Knight still kicked out. But he came up bleeding from the forehead, so I don't know if it happened on that spot. It may have happened on the Pele kick. It's possible maybe he kicked him and he caught him good with a kick to the head. I did not see exactly how it happened, but he was bleeding from the forehead and bleeding pretty good too, which again is something you don't normally see on WWE television, but there you go. We got some color. And it was funny too because, you know, AJ, he was laying in some punches, and it looked to me like as he was punching him, he was trying to wipe away some of the blood, but there was enough of it where it just wasn't going to work. Styles set up for a Styles clash. Orton broke things up. Knight went to the outside, and Styles set up for the phenomenal forearm. He was going to hit Randy with the forearm. Here he comes, and he springboards off the top rope, and Randy Orton, as he is wont to do, timed it perfectly, and he drops AJ on the way down with an RKO. He counters the phenomenal forearm into an RKO. He had Styles dead to rights. LA Knight, he pulled a heel move here. He pulled Randy Orton out of the ring after he just hit this amazing RKO. But the guy's trying to win a fucking match, right? So, makes sense. So he pulled him out of the ring to break up the pin. Now, you have all 3 men down in the ring, okay? Because Knight slowly crawls back in. Again, he's got blood pouring down his forehead. All 3 men are down in the ring, and we hear Roman Reigns' theme music. So here comes the fuck finish here, right? Roman comes out, and he's got his hair down, right? It's all slick, so it looks like he's ready for war. Here comes Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, Jimmy Uso. They all come out. He sends Solo into the ring. He attacks LA Knight. Jimmy and Roman, they attack Orton and Styles. Solo rammed the ring steps into Orton's head on the floor. Inside the ring, Roman powerbombed AJ. Now we see on the outside, Nick Aldis has appeared. He's just standing there. I don't know where he came from, but he's just standing there, not in front of the announce desk, but kind of like over where the timekeeper's area is, like right in front. And he's just watching, casually watching all the chaos. Reigns hit a Superman punch on LA Knight, followed by a spear. Now it was Randy Orton's turn. Roman hit a spear on him. Solo followed with a Samoan spike. Now the camera gets a shot of Aldis, and Paul Heyman is there on the outside. Paul Heyman goes to walk away, and Aldis gets his attention. Now we can hear them. The people in the building can't. So it's off mic, but you and I can hear what Aldis is telling Paul Heyman. So as the assault is continuing in the ring, he tells Paul, he says, Roman just earned himself a fatal four-way. Like when he's done with what he's doing in the ring, you let him know he just earned himself a fatal four-way match at the Royal Rumble. And Aldis walked off, and we had that final parting shot of this shocked look on Paul Heyman's face. In the background behind him, you can see Roman doling out all this, destruction, and he doesn't know what Paul Heyman was just told. He hasn't gotten the bad news yet. And that is how they went off the air. Up until the finish, when, they just did the whole bloodline beatdown, it was a very good match. It was a very good match. We did get the fuck finish there at the end. I don't mind them doing a fatal four-way at the Rumble. Again, it's something different for a Roman Reigns title defense. And, in the eyes of some people, it might make them think twice about whether or not we might get a title change here. I still believe Roman Reigns is going to leave the Royal Rumble. He is going to stay as the undisputed champion. But because of this whole Rock situation, you have to at least now consider the possibility that if The Rock were to get involved, what if The Rock showed up as a surprise at the Royal Rumble and did something to cost Roman the championship? I mean, I think that would be even worse. That would be even worse than just having Roman lose the title by not being pinned. Not only would he lose the title potentially by not being pinned, he would lose the title off what? A distraction? I mean, what other way can you fuck up the end of this title run? You've come this far. It's been 3+ years. You're going to have to stick the landing. That's not how you stick the landing. You don't do that. So as tempting as it may be, and yes, it would solve the issue of how do you get the belt off Roman if, in fact, they want to do Roman Rock at WrestleMania? Well, here's one way, right? We don't even know for sure if Roman is wrestling at the Elimination Chamber. This might be, for all we know, his last fucking match before WrestleMania. How do you get the title off of him then? Well, he's in a fatal four-way match. There you go. It's so tempting. I hope they don't do that. That would be very counterproductive. They'll get their big match. They'll make their millions of dollars. But I think in the grand scheme, in the bigger picture here, you've come this far. He's beaten so many people. Think of all the bodies that this man has left in his wake throughout this entire run that he has been booked on. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Drew McIntyre and LA Knight and Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar and John Cena and Jimmy Uso, or Jey Uso. I guess he hasn't wrestled Jimmy yet, but he's wrestled Jey a few times, and Cesaro and Edge and Daniel Bryan, and my God, the list goes on and on. Logan Paul. All the bodies left in his wake. You've come this far. It's very important that you tell the story the right way and you stick the landing. And whoever that person is who gains from being the man to finally beat Roman Reigns and put the stake in the heart of his title reign, that you have this big dramatic moment and it happens in a one-on-one match that elevates the person who takes the title from you. Because otherwise, this has just been a colossal waste of time. It's just been a Roman Reigns vanity project. That's not how this run should end. So I think it would be a mistake. Hey, it might get a big reaction from the people in the building at the Rumble. I'll let you know. I'll be there. but it's the wrong move to make. But it's going to get people talking. It might make people think twice about the finish. Maybe it makes the finish a little less predictable. And that's not a bad thing, as long as they do the right thing. So this was a newsworthy episode of SmackDown because we had Roman there. We had the announcement of the Fatal 4-Way. We had a triple threat. We had a women's title match. We have the latest reboot for Karrion Kross, right? There were things going on here on this show. And it brings us a little bit closer now to the Royal Rumble. Plus, Bobby Lashley also announced himself for the Rumble match. Bianca Belair announced herself for the Rumble match. And we had the debut of Tyler Bate. So it was an eventful episode of SmackDown. A good show. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. 85% thumbs up for tonight's show, and just shy of 15% thumbs down. So a pretty positive score for SmackDown tonight. Don't forget, you can chime in here on these X polls. Twitter.com/Solomonster. Let me know what you thought of SmackDown. I want to hear from you guys. A lot of moving parts. A lot of balls up in the air right now for the Royal Rumble. Don't you hate it when you get balls up in the air? Got those flying balls. All right, let's take a look at your Super Chats. And thank you to Fahad and everybody else who has donated tonight. Had a great week going back to the New Year's Eve stream last weekend. It's been a big week so far, so I thank you for that. Let's start with Jacqueline. Dropping a $25 Super Chat here. Thoughts on a future LA Knight CM Punk feud? She says, Punk can accuse Knight of not just copying The Rock and Austin, but himself as well. The name LA is a ripoff of CM. And LA can say the pipe bomb is a copy of the Austin 316 speech. So the idea is that we're just going to have two of our biggest stars go out on television and accuse each other of copying other bigger stars than them. I would say that is a very bad idea. I would not do that. Zay97. Do you think Kevin Owens will ever get another world title run? I hate Goldberg for ruining... You could have ended the sentence there. I hate Goldberg for ruining the first and only one. I hope Matt Riddle beats his ass. Yeah, I'm sure Kevin Owens will eventually get a shot. You know, he's popular enough. He's not going anywhere. Is he going to win it, though? If you're asking me, is he going to win it? That, I don't think so. Probably not. But will he get another shot? I think he'll get another shot. You know what? I shouldn't even say that because I think at some point, a year from now, 2 years from now, I think there's great potential in a CM Punk Kevin Owens world title feud. I think the promos alone would be great. I think the matches have the potential to be great. Punk's a little bit older. He's a little bit more fragile based on his last run in AEW, but I think that could be, you know, tremendous. And maybe he gets a world title out of that. So, I mean, never say never. Prince Vegeta 95. Are we really supposed to take Karrion Kross seriously now after jobbing to everybody and their mom for the past year? Well, that is part of the problem. That's why I say this could be his last shot. I don't know if this is going to take or not. There's a huge credibility issue that he has. And surrounding himself with other people who could be of help to him as far as maybe winning matches and stuff, you know, it might work. But again, he's been beaten by everybody. He's lost to everybody every time he was feuding with somebody and he would cut a promo with the tarot card and everything. It's like the Bray Wyatt thing. I used to complain about that with Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt would cut these promos, these really spooky promos, and he would and they would be good promos a lot of the time. You know, if he was going into a big match to close out a program, or he was going into the Royal Rumble, and then he would lose. Invariably, he would go on to lose, and it's like, dude, it's one thing to talk shit if you can back it up, but if you're going to talk shit and get your ass kicked every single time, nobody's going to take you seriously. You know, Karrion Kross has a big credibility issue that he's going to have to overcome. I don't know if he can or not. Donnie Yasu, favorite ring gear of all time.
Do you feel him, sir?
Oh, I feel him. I feel him, sir. Hey, Jackie, thank you. Favorite ring gear of all time? Whatever Trish Stratus was wearing. That's my favorite ring gear of all time. Chris Miner, buy, sell, or rent on New Year's Revolution 05, 06, and 07. I mean, from what I remember of those shows, well, 05 was the one Triple H won the, it was a chamber match, right? Triple H in the main event. I don't remember anything else from that 05 show. 06 is the one where we had the first Money in the Bank cash-in. I remember nothing else from that show. And 07, I know, was the show where Triple H tore his other quad. It was him and Shawn against Rated RKO. I know that. And I think there was a John Cena Umaga match on that show. I would go, God, I don't know. I would probably go 05, then 06, then 07. Probably in that order. Uffman Entertainment with the $10. Shout out to the Mrs. and me. It's our 5-year wedding anniversary today, January 5th. And yes, she is a Solomonster girl. Celebrated with the dinner. With the dinner, not the dinner. He had the dinner. No, he celebrated with dinner earlier tonight. Now the review. Well, I want to wish a very happy anniversary to Mr. and Mrs. Uffman. And it's very cool that she has. Now, have you converted her? Did she need some prodding to become a fan of the show? Or was she willingly a fan of the show? Or did you sort of force her into it? I don't know. But happy anniversary, Uffman. Uffman is a very well-respected member of our crew here. HBKC83, on a scale of 1 to 10, chances of The Rock being in the Royal Rumble. You know, if The Rock is in the Royal Rumble, he probably comes out at number 30. If The Rock is in the Royal Rumble, he wins the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble gets you a main event match for the championship at WrestleMania. I do not want to see The Rock win the Royal Rumble. But I could see it happening. I think all these options are on the table right now. It scares me. So no, I don't want to see The Rock win the Royal Rumble. On a scale of 1 to 10 though, if you're asking me to put probability, where would I put it? Rock being in the Royal Rumble, I would put it probably right now at a 5. I'm going to be neutral. I'm going to go right down the middle. I think it's 50-50. But, man, if he's in it, he's winning it. And if he's winning it, I don't want to see that. Prince Vegeta 95. Can't wait for another year of Call Roman Reigns. Such compelling television. Shaking my head. Thank you, Triple H. You mean that doesn't keep your interest for the majority of the year, having Paul Heyman talking to his cell phone? Holiday 197. If The Rock faces Roman at WrestleMania, Cody needs to be the one to end Gunther's Intercontinental title reign at WrestleMania. Maybe I could accept him against Orton with a good storyline. Anything else would be wasteful. Cody and Gunther would be fun, but you know, it's also another, people talk about another year of Call Roman Reigns. Another year of Cody talking about his story. How long is this story going to be? It's going to be like one of these J.K. Rowling books that just never ends. It's going to be like Moby Dick by the time he's done with his story. Anis with the $9.99. AOP got the worst reception. They should have debuted on the Creed brothers when they win the tag team titles. AOP deserved better. AOP is lucky that Triple H is a fan of theirs and brought them back. They should just be lucky that they got paired back up with Paul Ellering and that they have a spot on television. Justin. Roman Reigns down the stream into a fatal 4-way. I'm okay with it, and Rock Reigns at the Chamber. Keep up the badass work. Rock Reigns at the Chamber is the way to go. stay the course with Rock and Cody at WrestleMania. You do Rock and Roman at the Chamber. WrestleMania is a huge show. Why not lift up the Chamber? Make the Chamber must-see. You know, if I were WWE, that would be my goal. As they run these other stadium shows and they run these international shows, my goal, WrestleMania is WrestleMania. My goal would be to lift up some of these other shows outside of Rumble and Mania to try to be on that same level. Right? One way to do that would be to have The Rock against Roman Reigns in the main event of Elimination Chamber. Right? That would elevate the show. You're going to have a big stadium full of people. Some people just can't, they have tunnel vision as far as, oh, it has to be this. It can't be, you know, it can only be in one place on one show. And they just can't see outside of their tunnel vision. Verbal Souls. Here's an even worse idea. The Rock screws Roman out of the title, which is why Roman goes after The Rock. That's my fear. That's why I talked about it at the beginning. There is a chance that Roman could be screwed out of the title without being pinned. I just think that would be horrible. Vanilla Gorilla. Punk has to be mad that he might be upstaged by The Rock at Mania yet again. Irony is funny that way. You know, that's true. Think back to the pipe bomb. What was it that really just irritated him more than anything else? The fact that Dwayne was going to get the WrestleMania main event and he wasn't. See, the saving grace for Punk, though, is that now there's 2 nights of WrestleMania. So I'm pretty confident that Punk is going to get himself a main event on night 1. So not even The Rock this time should be able to fuck up CM Punk's WrestleMania main event. But it is kind of funny that here we are all these years later and a kind of a similar situation seems to be playing itself out. Arabian Night 2000. People can say what they want about AEW stories, but their small crowds make more noise weekly. They rarely sit on their hands compared to some WWE shows. AEW crowds do tend to be very vocal, which it enhances the show. You know, a loud crowd can take a good show to a great show. It can take a bad show to an okay show. It's all about, that's what sucked about the whole COVID era when you had the Thunderdome and everything, is that you didn't have that fan enthusiasm. It just wasn't the same. So, you know, we got some good stuff during the COVID era as far as some of the stuff they did on TV, some of the matches. But, yeah, wrestling is meant to be held in front of actual human beings. It's not meant to be held in an empty building. It is not meant to be held in front of a bunch of screens. You can't replicate a hot crowd. You just can't do it. Samuel Hayworth. Do WWE overestimate what Dusty Rhodes means to their fans? He was a mid-carder in WWE, and his main stuff happened before a lot of fans were even born. Well, that's why it's on them to educate people about people like Dusty Rhodes. That's why they had Cody go out and tell his story that night, show the picture and explain to people in his documentary. I mean, you can't watch Cody's documentary on Peacock and not come away understanding the importance of Dusty Rhodes and why Dusty is important to him. So WWE now, because they were the last ones standing, because they, you know, WCW went out of business and they were the, you know, the top dog for a long time, and they still are, but they basically control the history of the wrestling business as it is told to a mainstream audience. And so they can tell whatever version of history they want to tell. To the victor go the spoils. It's on them to explain to people why Dusty Rhodes is such a big deal. And to their credit, I think they do a very good job of that. They built a statue to him. They named a tournament after him on NXT. Cody talks about him often in his promos. I mean, I don't know what more they could do. You can't control the way he was booked when he was wearing polka dots, you know, in WWE. He made it work. You know, he may have been mid-card, but he was upper mid-card. He made it work. Yeah, the funny thing about that is that he was wearing polka dots even before he wrestled in WWE. There was actually a period of time early in his career where he was wearing polka dots. I don't know how many people know that. The Real CS, is this Cross's last chance? I believe it is, yes. If this doesn't work, there's nowhere for him to go. There's nowhere else for him to go but out of the company. And he could try his luck somewhere else. If this doesn't work, I don't know what else he'd do with it. Rob G, who should have run over Austin? I think Billy Gunn. Yeah, that would have gone over about as well as Billy Gunn winning the King of the Ring. How'd that work out? Triple H is the one that made the most sense. Otherwise, you could have The Rock. Then you would turn The Rock heel. Rodimus Prime, don't really care for Karrion Kross at all, but willing to give this new faction a shot. That said, how many times will they keep hitting the reset button on him? Well, like I just said, I think this is it. But Rodimus, thank you, man. El Masse, thank you as well for the 32 bucks. Rock will be either a host for WrestleMania or a special enforcer of Cody Roman 2. The final visual will be of Cody holding up the title and Rock holding up Cody's arm. Boom, Cody is now your new John Cena. Exactly what I laid out. You do Rock and Roman at the Chamber. You do Cody and Roman at WrestleMania. Rock can be the enforcer, or you could even just have Rock come out during the match when Solo gets involved, fights him off, makes Rock look like the hero. He's not going to stand for this, but he's not directly helping Cody win. You know what I mean? Like, for him to come in and, like, attack Roman, to me, that's lame, because then it's like, oh, he only won because of The Rock. But if The Rock comes out, or he's already out there as the enforcer, and he's only there to make things fair and even the odds, that's fine. And then, yeah, he can give Cody a big endorsement at the end of the show, and that's huge for Cody. Everybody's happy. Because the next night, or that Monday night, I guess it would be on night 2. So the next night on Raw, you know, maybe Rock is there one last time, but the reality is the week after, Rock ain't going to be there. Cody Rhodes is going to be there. Rock is not going to be there. Roman Reigns probably won't even be there. So endorsing him and putting him over, or whoever is in that spot, is the most important thing. They're the ones that are going to carry the company beyond WrestleMania for the rest of the year. Hey, Fahad, thank you for the 120 bomb. Fahad is the man. Christopher Smith. I love Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne teaming again. I love the clothesline German suplex spot as well as the double Tyler driver. Yeah, that was a cool spot. Crowd didn't really react much to it, but they will. They'll react to Tyler. Just give it time. Barry MK400. I've noticed WWE has never made any merch WCW related from 99 to 2001. Do they own the shows from those years and that's it? Do they only own the shows from those years? Why would they make merchandise related to their worst years? Like 99, especially late 99 to 2001 was awful. They don't need to. I mean, what merch would they make? Mike Awesome, the Fat Chick Thriller t-shirts? Like, who the fuck's gonna buy that? I mean, what merch are you referring to? They have NWO merch is still selling today. They sell NWO shirts and NWO Wolfpack. What else do you need? They don't need anything else. NWO shirts and Austin 316 shirts are still routinely in the top 10 merch sellers even today. Derek Fleming Jr. Have you heard about the Cat Williams interview? No, I have not. Nathan Tucker. Have you noticed that LA Knight did not get a loud enough pop like usual? Do you think that's because he has lost momentum or because of the Canadian crowd? I noticed that when he came out, the enthusiasm was not there. And I just think that's natural waning of enthusiasm over time. You know, they rushed him into that match with Roman Reigns. He was never going to win. He didn't win. He got beat. They really haven't had a plan for him since. I think the plan will be Logan Paul at WrestleMania, and I think Logan Paul is hated enough that the people will be on LA Knight's side and he'll be okay. But, you know, he was never going to maintain that same level of enthusiasm after he lost to Roman Reigns unless they had a really good plan for him. And he really hasn't done much. Now, he's going to the Royal Rumble, but does anybody actually expect him to win? No, of course not. So, as long as, look, he's still going out there and getting a reaction and moving merch, which by all accounts he still is, that's all that matters. You know, I mean, the whole thing is what he was doing previously when he was Max Dupree was a waste of LA Knight. Now he's in a plush spot as one of the top babyfaces in the company. As soon as CM Punk came back, he wasn't going to be the top babyface. You got Punk, you got Cody. Right now, The Rock is back for the time being. They got Randy Orton back. So all these people come back, and LA Knight now falls down a few spots. But as long as he's able to maintain that spot, he's going to be in a much better position, making, I'm sure, much more money than he was before. And that really was the whole point of the LA Knight push, was just to elevate him to a level where people can see him as a headliner. And eventually, we'll turn him heel, and we'll get heel LA Knight, like we had in NXT, because he was a great heel in NXT. The heel turn will come eventually, but no, I mean, the enthusiasm is not there exactly the way it was a few months ago. BW says, we have the 10th, the 13th, the 17th, 20th, the 24th, and the 27th to circle and mark on our calendars for when Mercedes shows up in either AEW, TNA, or WWE. Okay. I mean, who's to say she won't show up in February or March? Maybe she's in no rush. Still think the Royal Rumble, a Royal Rumble surprise, I think may be in the cards. All I'll say is remember CM Punk in Chicago. They like their surprises. Nick Grasso, can you see Bayley winning the Royal Rumble and they do the Batista storyline from 2005 with her? Bayley is one of my picks to win the Royal Rumble. I think it's either her or Becky. Mr. Andrew, people saying that the match should happen at Elimination Chamber have valid points in a business and logic sense. Now ask The Rock if he cares about any of that or if his ego wants WrestleMania. Well, you may be right about that. The Juliet says Ibushi just announced that he will have ankle surgery. No, I believe Ibushi announced that he's already had ankle surgery. Apparently, he went and had surgery on one of the ligaments in his ankle because his ankle was all messed up from the match he did in Pro Wrestling Noah the other night, which he had no business being in the first place. So Ibushi came into that match with a broken ankle and a broken hand. That's what he said coming into the match. He came out of the match probably with 2 broken ankles. Unfortunately, I think Ibushi is washed. Ibushi is done. Ibushi did not take care of himself the way that he should have, and now he's in a really bad way, and I just hope that he just takes time off, doesn't rush back, and gets himself healthy again. That's all you can hope for. The guy is a fucking mess. He's an absolute fucking mess. Ali says, had to pick one match with a hype package to show a friend to explain wrestling to them. I picked Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against the Usos at WrestleMania 39, and they actually enjoyed it. As they should, because that was a great match with a great storyline builder. You should show them the Monster video package that they did before the Daniel Bryan Triple H match at WrestleMania 30. Show them that. The whole Yes Movement thing right into the main event at the Superdome when he won the belt. Jackie Fowler, what if Alba Fire and Isla Dawn join Carrion's new faction? I think this faction has the potential to be WWE's version of Kevin Sullivan's Army of Darkness from the territories. I don't think it's necessary. I think right now you've got Cross, Scarlett, Ellering, and AOP. I would not be adding more people yet. You need to keep the focus on the people that are in the faction, right? They've established it. Now you got to put the focus squarely where it belongs. Adding more people is just going to water it down. I mean, talk to me in 6 months. If this faction is still going, maybe you can add more people to it, but I would not be adding anybody else. I think they have enough people. Sean D says, Just wanted you to know I think you're pretty cool. Keep doing what you're doing. Well, Sean, I appreciate that. I will continue to do what I do. I will continue to do what I do. This is the best time of year, too, because you got Royal Rumble season, which leads into WrestleMania. We got Sting's retirement coming up at Revolution, which has already sold, I think, 14 or 15,000 tickets in Greensboro. So you got that going on. All these free agents, where are they going to land? I just watched Wrestle Kingdom, which I loved. I'll talk about Wrestle Kingdom on Sunday. I watched New Year Dash this morning as well. So I'm all caught up on my New Japan. Grant Hudson with the $9.99. I don't know if you caught this or not, but Logan Paul had an actual Tron when he came out. Do you think this could be a sign of everybody getting Titantrons again? I hope so. Look, Kevin Dunn is gone. So we may be seeing some production changes. Maybe that's one of them. You know, maybe we'll get actual Titantron videos. Yeah, Paul Ellering is 70 years old. Chris AXC, if WWE goes with Rock and Roman at WrestleMania 40, is Cody RKO a logical choice? Also, can't see what AJ is doing at Mania. Would you do AJ against Gunther, Drew, or Dragon Lee? You know, I hadn't considered Dragon Lee, but Dragon Lee and AJ Styles would be something. I don't know what the story would be, but that I would just love to see it, whether it's WrestleMania or not. I would love to see it. Also, you know, AJ, outside of the Boneyard match, his body at WrestleMania has been very underwhelming. So AJ is not getting any younger. I mean, he's overdue, I think, for a great classic in-ring WrestleMania match. Someone like Dragon Lee and Gunther, I think that might be something that would be able to pull it out of him. The only thing is, AJ and Gunther are on two different brands, so you got to figure out a way to get to that point. I'd love to see it. Nathan just got back from the show, had a good time. Yeah, I thought it was a good show. A lot going on the show tonight. TK Banks, the real bidding war of 2024 is Mercedes, not that scumbag MJF. Also, it would suck for AEW if MJF gets surgery and will be out for almost a year. Well, what would suck even worse is if MJF does not heal properly from his injuries and he comes back and he's all fucked up. So I think that if he needs to take a year off, then he should take a year off. Because he's only 27, right? 26, 27? Yeah, don't be like Kota Ibushi. Make sure you heal up your injuries, you come back 100%, and I think that would be fine. Look, AEW has enough talent. It would hurt. It would suck not having MJF for an extended period of time. And again, what it would do to this Adam Cole story, it would fuck the whole thing up. But, I mean, at this rate, Cole and MJF aren't going to be back in the ring for a long time anyway, so, you know, just get yourself healthy. It's the most important thing. DEH says, heard Mansoor say that Vince McMahon did not want Pete Dunne to wrestle when he first got called up as Butch. Glad the old man is gone. Yes, now the product is much better off for it. And then I'll still get messages from people. You know, you wouldn't be a fan if it wasn't for Vince McMahon. Yeah, maybe. The fuck does that mean to me? Yeah, I agree. A very good chance I wouldn't be a fan if it wasn't for Vince McMahon and Hulkamania and all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't mean I have to sit here and watch them on my television today in 2024. It doesn't mean I have to sit here and accept all the fucking bullshit that this man was booking and putting on my television. You can have respect for someone's body of work and appreciate it and say, hey, okay, enjoy retirement. It's time to move on. It's time to get some new blood. Like, I don't understand those arguments. I mean, so because Vince McMahon provided all of this great television and not so great television, but all this great television in my youth, I mean, is he supposed to so I'm supposed to just accept everything he does and just let him keep booking creative until he's 95 years old, fucking liver spots all over his body, You know, he dies in the chair at the gorilla position. Right? I mean, should we just do that? I don't get it. I don't get it. You have coaches and managers in sports and football and baseball, man, in their prime, man, they were great. You know, they led championship teams. They were great. And then over time, they get older. Maybe they're not as sharp. Now they're making decisions that don't make any sense. The team has a losing record. But you know what, man? He won 6 straight championships for them 10 years ago. So, you know, hey, our hands are tied. There's nothing we can do. I guess we just have to accept every decision they make. No, fuck that. Get him out of there. Get him out of there and hire somebody new who can actually do the job. Boy, you people would be terrible sports owners. All these people making these comments to me, you would suck as a team owner. Can you imagine these people owning a sports franchise? How fucking terrible they would be at their job. Good Lord. Boney says, I maintain that Karrion Kross should have gone 2-0 convincingly during his feud with Drew like Swerve did with Hangman. Could have led to at least the US title run. Well, coulda, woulda, shoulda. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Obviously, they had other ideas. That's right, Bliss fan. That's right. It's like Bill Belichick. I mean, if these people had their way, hey, Belichick would be in that spot for another 20 years. Come on, man. We have to honor and respect all the success that he had when he was with Tom Brady. Can't fire that man. He's unfireable because of his past. You're not allowed to fire him. Jackie Fowler, which CM Punk program would you like to see the most? LA Knight, AJ Styles, or Cody Rhodes? Personally, I think Punk and Cody. Omando with the $5 super chat. I've hit a nerve now. Everybody naming all the coaches that they want to get rid of. Mike Tomlin, Tom Landry. You know I'm right. Omando says, thanks for all the hard work. Do you think Survivor Series has gotten back some of its prestige over the past few years? It feels now like a Big Four show again. It still doesn't feel as big as Money in the Bank, but, you know, with War Games, it has more of a focus now. There's a staple of the show. Ever since they got rid of the elimination matches, it was just another show. Now, at least, it has something unique about it. So, yes, I think Survivor Series is in a better place now than it was a few years ago. Manuel says, remember, Cody said Rock is not taking my spot a while back. How likely do you think it is that Rock actually wrestles Roman at the Chamber or even at all? You know what? There's no guarantee that he'll actually wrestle. I just think it's crazy to tease people like this if you don't have any plans to actually get in the ring and work a match. So it feels real. It feels like we are going to get that match. But you know what? It's Rock. I gave up a long time ago trying to figure out, you know, is he or isn't he? I feel the same way about Rock that a lot of people feel about Cody and his story, where they're just sick and tired of hearing about it. They wish he would just finish it and be done with it. I feel the same way about Rock. Rock is a huge star. I don't hate The Rock. But, you know, we've heard this before. Oh, The Rock is going to wrestle Roman. The Rock's going to come back, and then he doesn't. Oh, here we go. Every year, it's the same shit. So, you know, me, it's like, all right, you know what? If he's going to do it, just do it already. Do what you're going to do and get it over with. Because every year that goes by, he gets a little bit older. And I question how he'll even be able to pull through a full-length match. A lot of rest holds, probably. And he'll get by on it fine because he's such a huge star. But I don't know how that match is actually going to go if they do a match. Jackie says, also, if we get Dark Side of the Ring Season 5, what do you think of Sean O'Hare and the 1997 Little Rock / Memphis fan riots as potential episodes? I don't think we would get one on the fan riots. Because the people involved, they wouldn't be able to interview them. WWE's not going to give them access to them. And I just don't think it's you're not going to be able to get an entire episode out of that. Sean O'Hare, I could see Sean O'Hare as one of those sad stories that they feature. I could see that. Wally Walls. Sup, Commish? Looking forward to the next Hog Live event. Well, that would be in less than 24 hours. I'm going to be at the NYC Arena tomorrow night. We have our first show of 2024, Brace for Impact. We have Josh Alexander coming in, and we have ABC. Chris Bay and Ace Austin, the reigning TNA Tag Team Champions. He says, Cross was wearing a Final Prayer shirt. He knows too, LOL. Keep up the grind in 2024. You know, I didn't notice that. Yeah, Cross is no dummy. I think he also realizes it's sink or swim at this point. You know, he needs this tour. He needs this tour. Yeah, those were the riots that were caused by Shawn Michaels. He threw a temper tantrum. I think some stuff got thrown at him, and he said, "You just lost your main event," and chaos ensued. I've talked about it on the podcast before, years ago. I don't remember what episode. Phil Dog, would you have Jimmy versus Jay have the opening match of Mania on night 1 or night 2? I like that idea. You know, the whole Bret Owen dynamic of brother against brother to open the show. I like that idea, yeah. I think I would. Dr. Bropio, I'll take WCW 99-01 over House of Torture. Well, I think we all would. You know, when I saw Evil come out at the end of Wrestle Kingdom to try to ruin Naito's roll call, I saw it was fucking evil. I just started laughing because, like, I knew there was no way they were gonna end with fucking Evil ruining the roll call. But it just got so much heat in the building. And I know there were people who were watching that who were probably throwing furniture. Because, like, nobody likes Evil. Arabian Night, you think Drew leaves? He would be awesome in New Japan. I think he stays. I agree. I think he would be great there, but I think he stays. I'm looking forward to seeing what Ziggler does, though. I'm going to talk more about Dolph on the podcast on Sunday. BW says, thoughts on Ziggler and... Thoughts on Ziggler and Riddle in New Japan and for how long? Sunday. I'll talk about it on Sunday. But Ziggler, I am excited to see what he can show people in his theme music, right? I'm here to show the world. I am very anxious to see what he can show all of us outside of the WWE bubble. We're going to see a side of him that we haven't seen ever. I mean, he worked there 20 years. So this will be the first time he's outside of WWE as Nick Nemeth and not Dolph Ziggler. And Dolph Ziggler is dead. Now we get to see what Nick Nemeth can do, and I find that to be exciting. I'm excited to see what he can do. M. Mills, thank you for the $5 super chat. Dr. Bropio, Kota has been cursed since merging the titles. Kota has been cursed since the Phoenix Splash in the G1 final against Okada. He's just hasn't been the same since. Ever since he broke his shoulder or collarbone, whatever it was, that's it. It's a totally different person. It's like Kota Ibushi BC and AD. Two different people. I don't know that we're ever going to get that Kota Ibushi back. Jacqueline Fowler, buy, sell, rent. On these alternate WrestleMania matches, Piper challenges Hogan in the cage at WrestleMania 2. DiBiase defends the title against Hogan at WrestleMania 7. Or Jake Roberts defends the title against Savage at WrestleMania 8. You know, back in 86, I'd go Hogan Piper in the cage at Mania 2. And then Jake and Savage at 8, and then Savage and DiBiase at 7. Jose Perez, getting over COVID now with my 5-year-old son. Happy New Year. Dress warm. You're making recovery smoother. Keep it up, bro. Jose, I hope you feel better. You and the sun. Hopefully, it will pass quickly. I know that's no fun. And Happy New Year to you as well. Feel better. And Allie, Happy about Money in the Bank in Toronto. P.S. Goldberg sucks. Says Allie. I don't know if you're from Toronto, but I was going to say, spoken like a true Canadian. Has to end it with Goldberg sucks. A Bobby's World just gifted a channel membership to Slap Talk. Hey, Bobby, thank you. The Be the Booker goal tonight was 400. We are currently well north of 500 likes. Thank you very much. Please hit that thumbs up. It does help the video out a great deal. DEH with a super chat. Was 2021 AEW that good or WWE was that bad? 2021 AEW was that good. Let's be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Yeah, you can't take away from what AEW had in 2021. They had a good thing going. And we got Punk, Danielson, and Adam Cole, one right after the other. All right, here we go. Tag team Be the Booker. Let's kick things off hot here. How about that? Oh, look at this. We're landing on a stipulation first. We are going to have to book ourselves a triple threat match on a night where we had a triple threat match on SmackDown. How do you like that? All right, a three-way it is. Here we go. We begin with the Dream Team. Brutus Beefcake and Greg the Hammer Valentine, who I will always maintain as I look at him today in the modern day. I cannot look at Greg Valentine and not think of the mother from the Goonies. Or not the mother, I guess, but the old lady from the Goonies, the mother from Don't Throw Mama from the Train. I always forget her name. It's exactly who Greg Valentine looks like. All right, the Dream Team. And the Hart Foundation. Both former tag team champions. All right, we got the Dream Team. We got the Hart Foundation. Who else we got? What else we got here? Oh, and we have, look at this. Jim Cornette with beautiful Bobby. You know what I love about this? This is an old school wrestling match because you get the Midnights, you get the Hart Foundation, you get the Dream Team all together. And that right there is old school wrestling. Dennis Condrey and beautiful Bobby Eaton. Managed by Jim Cornette. We got ourselves some old school tag team wrestling there. That's what we got. That's what I like to see. Would The Rock be the oldest man to win the Royal Rumble? Probably. I mean, who else won the Rumble who was older? All right, Women's Be the Booker. We begin with China, the ninth wonder of the world. A former women's champion and a former intercontinental champion. China, one-on-one with Gail Kim. It's pretty good. Pretty good match right there, I would say. I don't think their paths crossed in Impact, right? Because China came in. She only did one match, I think, right? Wasn't it some kind of a mixed tag match? Kurt Angle was involved. I don't think she ever stepped in the ring with Gail Kim. Okay, we got one left. We got one to go. I did pop the other night. We actually had ABK. ABK, we fucked up Women's Be the Booker. And ABK was like, no. He dropped a super chat bomb and said, I want you to redo that Women's Be the Booker. But it may not be necessary tonight. We're 2 for 2. Here we go. We begin with The Undertaker. Purple Glove Undertaker. I'm a fan of Purple Glove Undertaker. I like Gray Glove Undertaker and I like Purple Glove Undertaker. I don't like the Undertaker from 96 when he came down as Batman with the teardrop on his face. Not really a fan. All right. We got Purple Glove Undertaker. One-on-one. That's right, Purple Taker. taking on Hook. Undertaker and Hook. Wow. There's a match I never thought of. Undertaker and Hook. Purple Glove Undertaker against Hook. How's that for an independent show? If I booked that card, you going to buy a ticket to come see that show? What a match. Now, would he put the young kid over? What do you think? Would Undertaker put the young kid over? Would he put Taz's son over? Or would he make him pay his dues? Boots, did Tony Khan get a lemon by signing Kota Ibushi? Well, unfortunately, it looks like he probably did. And Arabian Night, what does Drew do at WrestleMania? He seems like the odd man out, because he is. He is the odd man out. You know, he's a heel now, kind of. Well, I guess he's a heel now, so him and Gunther wouldn't make much sense, but we've already seen that before. Seth is going to be occupied, most likely, with Punk. I'm trying to think of who else is on the Raw side near the top of the card. You know, there's not a lot of obvious choices right now. So, I don't know. I don't know what Drew does. You know, when people are mapping out their kind of fantasy cards, their fantasy booking WrestleMania this year, they're talking about Rollins and Punk and Rock now and Roman and Cody and Gunther and Bianca and Becky and Rhea and all these different people. No, I don't see anybody talking about Drew McIntyre or what he might be doing on the show. Or Sheamus, you know, and think about where we were a year ago for WrestleMania, where you had Drew and Sheamus in a major match with Gunther. You know, arguably maybe the match of the weekend. And right now it looks like they're going to be the odd men out at WrestleMania this year. Drew and Sheamus. Sammy? Grant says, what about Sammy? Yeah, there's an issue there between them, I guess. Sammy's name would make sense. Yeah, because Sammy also, I mean, Sammy's kind of an odd man out, right? You could do Drew and Sammy. Yeah, maybe with a stipulation of some kind. Devin from NJ, how would Solomonster describe CM Punk's relationship with the fans? With the fans, I think with the fans it would be conflicted, because you have people who love him and you have people who hate him. So he has a conflicted but powerful relationship with the fans. The people who love him really love him. It's like ride or die. I feel like it's the same way with like Mercedes. You know, Mercedes has a very passionate fan base as well. So it's kind of the same thing. Base Beer is God of Seduction with the $13 Super Chat. Few things are more exciting than new Super Chats. I watched Flair's last match for the first time yesterday. I heard what people had said, and it was truly a sight to behold. Wasn't it? Wasn't it a sight to behold watching a man nearly die in the middle of the ring? I mean, I remember the end of that match, and it was scary. It was very scary. I don't ever want to see anything like that again.
Wooings!
Wooings! There it is. The new $13 Wooings Super Chat. What else can Ric Flair advertise? Base Beer is buy or sell coffee or Woo Energy. Bleach. Where does Brock factor into Mania plans? I wonder if they save him as a surprise for the Rumble match. You know, there's been talk of Brock and Gunther. I don't know what you do with, well, I mean, I guess he would defend it, right? If he had the Intercontinental title, you could always have him defend it. Brock and Gunther is going to happen at some point. I don't know if it'll be this year or not. It almost has to, though. If you want Brock to have a high-profile match, what other high-profile match would it be? You know, we were just talking about Drew being the odd man out, but what about Lesnar? Because you know they're going to want to have him on the show. You know, he may beat Brock and Gunther. Retirement. That's funny. If there's money to be made, Brock Lesnar is not retiring. He's not going anywhere. He's got to pad that bank account first. Bobby's World, thank you for the gifted membership. Lindsay Wild is a new member, thanks to Bobby's World. Arabian Night, that's why I think Drew leaves, all in 2024. Well, look, Endeavor is re-signing a whole bunch of people, right? We've already heard about Bayley. We've heard about Rollins and Becky haven't yet, but I'm sure they will. They've gotten a few other people locked up. Cody, I don't know if he's officially signed, but he's going to sign. Charlotte's locked up. You know, I think, look, if they treat Drew right on the terms of his contract, I still think he's going to stay. Brock and Drew with a crowd. Yeah. So would Brock be the babyface then? Would the roles be reversed? Raul says, I will give Flair this. He is trying desperately to get as much money in as possible. And to his credit, it's working. But that's what happens when you have alimony payments to 3 different ex-wives. Or 4. How many ex-wives does he have? When you lose track of how many ex-wives a person has, it's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I don't remember if Wendy is number 4 or number 5. I don't remember. Car Shield. Yeah, that's right. He does Car Shield commercials as well. Yeah, Car Shield. I'm surprised he's not doing boner pills. You think that'd be right up his alley? Now, Charlotte is locked up. Her contract is... She's not in prison. Charlotte is not in prison. That's not what I meant. Now it'll be headlines on all the aggregate sites. Solomonster reports that Charlotte Flair has been locked up. The reports are that Charlotte Flair is only feigning an injury. The real reason she's gone is because she's locked up for the next 9 months. She's serving a stint. For what? What would she be locked up for? Can't be arrested for doing a horrible moonsault. Andre Israel, name of the song before you went live. Oh gosh, it just popped out of my head. I will tell you right now. Because I have it in my Spotify. It's a great song, very chill. That would be Quick Musical Doodles is the name of the song by 2 Feet. That's the word 2. 2 Feet, Quick Musical Doodles. You want to chill out with with a nice piece of music? There you go. That's the way to do it. Andre, thank you, though, for the $2. All right, so the next time I'm going to be live with you will be Monday. We're going to be live after Raw. CM Punk is back on the show on Monday. And we have Cody Rhodes against Shinsuke Nakamura, the rematch. This Sunday will be episode 842 of The Sound Off. Full recap of Wrestle Kingdom, New Year Dash. We'll talk about Dolph Ziggler. We'll talk about Matt Riddle. Talk about Velveteen Dream. We'll talk about this Rock situation. We'll talk about Ibushi. We got much to discuss on Sunday. Arabian Night, Andrade against Drew. Yeah, you know, I think we get Andrade as a surprise in the Rumble. And then if Andrade has a WrestleMania match, I guess it all depends on whether he comes in as a babyface or a heel. And what brand he's on. Andrade and Drew, I think, would tear it up. I think that'd be a great match. Base Beerus has another Woo Wings coming in, huh? $13. Who would you book in a modern day Armageddon Hell in a Cell? 6 stars fighting for the undisputed title. Also, that segment where Owens made Aldis laugh was hysterical. That picture of the brain and the eyes. Yes, I think that was a web exclusive or a YouTube exclusive. But yeah, you could just tell Aldis, he just held it in as long as he could, but he walked off camera. He couldn't handle it. 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell. We talking WWE only here? Well, you do Roman Reigns. You do CM Punk. You do Seth Rollins. You do Cody Rhodes, right? That's 4. Throw AJ Styles in there. And Randy Orton. There you go. Dr. Bropio, have a good night. I think I talked over the wooing, so let me do it again. Wooing! There you go. There's your wooings. Gotta make sure I give you your money's worth here. All right, as I was saying, live on Monday is when we will be back for another stream. Thank you for a great week. I hope it bleeds over into next week and you guys come on back. Jackson Elkins, welcome to the channel. If you missed the review, it'll be up, the replay, in just a moment here. And again, I will see you for the audio show on Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. That'll be dropping later in the afternoon on Sunday. So until then, be well, stay safe. The Winston Slip says, what's my favorite kind of pasta? I gotta go penne. I'm a penne pasta guy. What can I say? A little penne pasta with some marinara? With some gabagool maybe on the side there? You got yourself a good night right there. Maybe I'll go get some gabagool right now. Do I look like a gabagool guy? I really don't, right? But I live in New York, so I know people who eat that kind of thing. Jay says, my shirt looks like Ric Flair's jacket. Now, you got to be color coordinated, man. We got the blue light. It's SmackDown, which means it's blue. Right? You got to be color coordinated here. You got to be red on Mondays, blue on Fridays. Wednesdays is kind of a bluish, purplish, kind of reddish. Yeah, because they got that red, white, and blue color scheme now for Dynamite. Money in the Bank, we go green. I'm telling you, man, I make sure we are in sync here. Penne is good. Now you're making me hungry. Damn it. You know what we need? We need a Fusilli Solomonster. That's what we need. Somebody needs to build that. Send that to me. A Fusilli Solomonster. All right, have yourselves a great weekend. If you are going to be in the area, come on down to the Hog Show tomorrow night. If not, we'll be streaming. WatchOnPremiere.com. We got Josh Alexander and Mike Santana in the main event. It's going to be a good night. I'll see you guys back here real soon. Thanks for the love. Have a good weekend.